Hey! Hey, kids!
We smoked away the last 40 minutes.
Yeah, never mind that. You didn't see anything. Welcome to Fat Man Beyond. I'm Kevin Smith.
I am Marc Bernardin.
Hey!
Oh.
You know how they say, like, smoke them if you got them? Well, I did. So it sounds like, don't worry, it's not COVID. That was all fucking non-COVID. Welcome back. Looks like the stream is up and running. Looks like everything's copacetic, man. No strobing. That seemed very Pokemon for a minute there. I was afraid it was going to give people seizures or something. Looks like we're back to normal. Thanks to the Will Wilkins who came in and did something. Banff Man, are you involved still or no?
Banff. Yeah.
Oh,
Will had to reset up all the stream on the YouTube end, and I had to restart my encoding computer. So
Look at that.
we weren't hearing it. We produce the show on one computer, and then send it through a HDMI cable essentially to another computer that sends it to the internet. And the production computer was good. The encoding computer needed to be reset. So that's how we got here.
excellent.
Fucking sorry I asked. That was so boring. But thank you for fixing it. Thank you for
Starting the show hot. Tech Talk.
Thank God we don't have a sponsor tonight. Sponsor would have been deeply disappointed.
Yes. Still brought to you by Radio Shack in 1993's.
If there is a sponsor, it is me and Ralph Garman doing Hollywood Babylon on Saturday night, 10 o'clock at Flappers Comedy Club in Burbank. Tickets at csmod.com. And listen, kids, just because like you're not in Los Angeles or Burbank, you know, doesn't mean you can't buy a ticket. We take pity purchases all the time. Some kid in Idaho is like, I like the cut of your jib. I'm going to buy a ticket regardless and stuff. Give it away to some local fan. I'm just not trying to tell you what to do, just ideas.
Like a tip jar.
Tit jar? Replace that tit. You remember Ramblin' Rose?
Yes.
I think that was, what's his name? Robert Duvall was the line in the movie at one point. He goes, replace that tit.
Put him on the glass.
How you been, Captain?
I'm hanging in there, my friend. Busy as a one-legged man in an ass-kicking contest, but one of my favorite Southern aphorisms. Because I have relatives who live in Maryland, which if you're in New York, if you're a New Yorker, Maryland is the deep South. Yeah. So yeah, I've been busy, gonna stay busy, gonna be busy until, I don't know, third week of February. Honing in on locking picture on Splinter.
How's that going, man? Being in the editing room.
Yeah, well, it's going well. It's, you know, virtual editing, which means that I'm not sitting next to my editor. Just that one should be longer. Make that one shorter. Do we have any other takes?
The editing room is virtual as this.
As virtual as this.
The editing, less the editing room, more the editing Zoom.
Ah, I see what you did there. Consonant replacement. But yeah, once we have the locked picture, then we can start talking to our music, lovely music people, namely Bear McCreary, who's going to be doing the shiny music for the show.
Bear McCreary from Masters of the Universe, Netflix Masters of the Universe.
Masters of the Universe is Bear McCreary, and that's all he's had.
It's such a great score for that show. And he had like half hour, 20 minutes. 2, 4, 6, 8, 10, maybe he had to do 120 minutes of music for the whole series. How long is Splinter?
15 minutes.
So he don't have to write nearly as much music. So pound for pound, you may wind up getting in better score if that's possible.
I mean, and honestly, I only need him for like one chunk of the movie because I think the sound design is going to be doing lots of the heavy lifting. early on. So it's like he's got 3 minutes of music. If he can pull off 3 minutes of music, then we're in business.
Let me tell you something about Bear McCreary, man. He
Mm.
fucking jerks off 3 minutes of music before he gets out of bed in the morning. And it's better music, Mark, than most will ever give you. So you're gonna get something gold. He's wonderful.
Yeah.
He elevated our show. He made that show so much better with his score. I was just on the sound mix stage today myself.
Mm.
We're all pretty much done here with Clerks 3, so we're picture locked with the exception of Reel Zero. You know what Reel Zero is in the motion picture industry?
Please tell me, educate me.
Vanity logos, the cards that go up front. So I've watched today. I watched Reel 1, 2, 3, and 4. Really great. I had very minimal notes. I'm more of a fan of like use what's on the track, you know, because most of my movies are all dialogue and stuff. But they sound designed some nifty things into it and whatnot, particularly as I mean, this is not spoilers. The character Randall, quite like the character Kevin Smith, has a heart attack in the motion picture. And they did some cool things with the heart attack moment, like audio wise, that I was like, oh, fucking right on. And we watch Reel 5 tomorrow. They wanted a little more time to do Reel 5. So tomorrow I go and watch the DI playback, which is, you know, that's the Leron, our DP, went in and color. We used to call it color correction back in the day, but now it's called the DI. He went in and adjusts everything. So I'm going to see the movie the way the DP always saw the movie, which is different from what I've been seeing in all the dailies that, you know, that I cut together and stuff like that. So tomorrow will be interesting in terms of like, oh, so that's what Clerks 3 looks like. But he gave me a preview, so I don't think there'll be too many surprises. And then at night we go back to the sound mix and listen to the last Reel 5.
Gotcha.
And any fixes from 1, 2, 3, and 4. How much longer before you have a version of Splinter that you want to share with your nearest and dearest?
You know, I think that once we have picture lock, and once we get some sound design in there for real, I think we'll have something that can convey the total experience. We've got some temp score in there now, which can hold until we get the real deal. But you know, hopefully not much longer. Hopefully, you know, within 3-4 weeks, we'll have a thing that I can start slipping to trusted friends and advisors and major domos.
I'll have all sorts of opinions. You know me, I'm always shredding everything.
Yeah, just tear it apart,
including
especially after it's picture locked and we can't do anything about it.
How do you feel about it as you see it take shape?
I feel pretty good. You know, it's helpful having had a little bit of experience in TV and editorial and realizing exactly how much can be done. Even while you're in there, like we're gonna have to do a little bit of ADR, additional dialogue recording, just for some story clarity points. But like I've seen people, you know, conjure completely different storylines using ADR and over-the-shoulder shots, and suddenly, oh, there's a whole plot thread I didn't know we had. Like, no, yeah, we invented it in post. Like, we didn't shoot anything like this. We wrote it all here in this room, and actors record it wherever they are, and we made it happen. So the amount of power you have to affect story in post continues to astonish me. And so,
like getting to write another draft of the script.
Yeah, you know, and if it all holds, and yeah, I mean, it's coming along really well. It's coming along really well. But I will always know the shots we didn't get, and that I think will haunt me till the end of my days.
All right.
Yeah, it's like, man, wish we gotten that. Man, wish we gotten that. Wish we gotten the version of that.
I never have that. There's never like I mean, I get everything I want to shoot, but I don't ever want to shoot anything complicated. So it's always pretty easy to get everything you want at the end of the day.
Yeah.
So I've never had that like, oh man. And a few things like we did like a couple pickups on this flick. There's like a montage at one point in the flick that has a bunch of people like, you know, famous friends and stuff. And so we shot a tiny piece of it back east when we were making the movie, but a majority of it was shot afterwards when like other people freed up and stuff. And I don't even know why I'm fucking telling this story.
You always got the shot you wanted. Not a ton of reshoots.
Thank you. Even like, you know, when I was done with the movie, I remember I said to Lionsgate at one point, I was like, look, we don't need to, I know the plan was to get a bunch of cameos and stuff, but the 4 that we had that we shot back east are like plenty and they're funny and we could just go with this. But they were like, if you have them and they're wanting to shoot it, they're like, you know, that's just pure sugar moment in the movie. And it did. It turned into a wonderful sequence in the flick. I am a big fan of Clerks 3, and I'm sure, you know, that goes without saying, but some people don't like their own stuff. I'm a big, I like what we got because I shot exactly what I wanted to get.
Yeah.
You know, but I'm not an ambitious guy.
I think it was, a lot of it was the schedule, you know, like we had 4 days, we had really 3 days on the playing stages. And so it's like, all right, let's get everything we have to get, you know, let's do 2-3 takes. If we got it, we feel good about it, great. But then looking back on it, it's like, man, I wish we just had a little bit more time. And I think that that's always, you know, as I understand it, always the sort of locomotive behind you is the clock. And time in a very real way, in a way that it's almost in no other way in life. Time is money when you're shooting anything.
I don't think there's a single filmmaker, I don't care how much money you have, whether you got $100 to make a movie or $100 million, eventually it always comes down to like, we're running out of time and we don't have enough money. Like it doesn't matter what your show is, man. Like,
yeah,
it just happens.
But you know, nothing catastrophic. So yeah, I like it now. But I can. It's one of those like we've been dating for a little bit. You know, I think I like it. But I can also see a path toward love, and hopefully it goes that way.
It's adorable, man. You're so new to this. I love everything I do. I'm like, oh, this is brilliant. Oh my God, I love it. I'm such a huge Kevin Smith fan. So it's never like, how do I take this from like to love? It's like, how do I bring down this distasteful amount of love that I have for the work that I'm doing? I love Kevin Smith movies because like when I'm finally done, I'm like, oh my God, it's like they made this movie just for me. And then I remember like, you did, you fucking dumbass stoner. It's your story. But yeah, we're gonna be finished, man. By Monday, everything's locked, and then we hand it over to Lionsgate. I think we're delivering, like, you know, not to tell tales out of school, but I've been told we're delivering a month early. That's how ahead of schedule we are.
Look at you being all.
So what's your excuse, Splinter?
Yes, this from the producers is just razzing me from blowing my deadlines.
I guess we should dive into it.
We can. We got some stuff
no sponsors other than Hollywood Babylon at Loppers Comedy Club this weekend, Saturday night, 10 o'clock. Me and Ralph Garman. Tickets at csmod.com. Somebody in the comments was like, a millionaire begs for people to go see a show. I'm like, how do you think I'm a fucking millionaire, dude? Because I'm shameless and I will beg people to go see my show. Simple life lessons. All right, let's dive into it, man. We've got things to review.
Indeed.
Let's start with the Book of the Mandalorian Fett. The Book of Better Fett, some have said.
Mandalorian chapter 17.
The Book of Boba where? Boba who? Episode 15, is that what it's called? Of The Mandalorian?
Chapter 17 of The Mandalorian / chapter 5 of Book of Boba Fett.
An episode that, you know, I've seen the general consensus online and Twitter seems to be like, this was the best episode of Boba Fett. ever, you know, even though he's not in it. We got to see our old friend, the Mandalorian, again. They made huge story leaps with that character on a show that wasn't even that character show. Like, I mean, spoilers, and again, spoilers, of course, kids. This, you know, Boba's been out for a red hot minute now. But we're gonna spoil the hell out of it. Now I forgot what I was gonna spoil it with because I was so busy footing up spoilers.
The caveat emptor.
I got incepted by my own spoiler.
Ooh.
Fucking, if they're like, you're a Mandalorian no more. He's not even the Mandalorian anymore.
Yeah, he's not even a Mandalorian.
So what do they call the show when it comes back? The artist formerly known as the Mandalorian? That's an old joke from the late 90s, 2000s, kids.
Tafcan.
Wow, man. Like it was that's it's one thing to be like, you know, hey, look who's here, man. Like fucking Laverne and Shirley are popping by Happy Days. One thing to have a guest appearance by Mandalorian. Whole fucking episode was like an episode of the Mandalorian. Oh my God, I sound like a teenager. An episode of the Mandalorian.
It's time to change.
And they fucking like moved the Mandalorian story forward. At the same time, we even got Amy Sedaris coming back, the great Amy Sedaris.
Yeah, I feel like if I was a Mandalorian watcher who decided to sit out Boba Fett because I didn't care that much, I probably would be a bit pissed because when I come back to the Mandalorian, he's going to be on a whole different mission than I thought he was going to be on. He's got a whole different ship. He's got a little bundle of joy to give.
You're going to be like, where's the cool ass spear we spent the whole fucking season going after? That blew my mind. She's like, what do you want with the spear? He's like, you know, burn it, make some clothes for a foundling or whatever, but you know, and also make this little outfit or whatever. But like, I'm like, wait, no way. The spear ain't go, and the spear is gone. Which I guess you don't really need the spear, a hat on a hat, because he's got the dark saber, and we got to see him wield the dark saber on Boba Fett, not an episode of Mandalorian again. But I wasn't complaining. I was happy as hell, man. Didn't even notice that we, you know, stepped away from Boba Fett completely. One thing that I was like, and I'm not using this to shade Boba Fett. I'm enjoying Boba Fett. I know a lot of people are out there have issues and stuff, but you know me, my bar is low and I'm very easy. And I'm like, look, I had that action figure. He's doing the thing. So I'm very easy bar to clear, so to speak. That being said, this episode, you know, it reminded me, one of the things I loved about Boba Fett through most of my life was that we never took his helmet off. And, you know, in Boba Fett now up to episode 4 or whatever, we're accustomed to Boba Fett, you know, just going au natural Charlie Brown style and stuff. So, and it don't matter. I understand story-wise, he's not a Mandalorian and so forth and such like. I'm not dumb. I'm just saying this episode, seeing, how do you pronounce his name? Din Djarin. Seeing his guy never take his helmet off just makes every scene cooler, where you're just like, I don't know what he's fucking thinking. Like, it's so weird because I remember when the first Spider-Man came out, I didn't like the scene where Spider-Man and Green Goblin were on the rooftop talking to each other, because I was like, nobody's mouths are moving. These look like action figures. But maybe it's because, you know, Boba Fett has been an action figure for most of my life before he became, you know, a character beyond the few appearances he's had in movies. And then Mandalorian provides, like, you know, I know it's a completely different character, but he fucking looks like Boba Fett and stuff. But seeing him wear the helmet the whole time, I was like, that's what I'm missing a little bit on Boba Fett. Like, keep that helmet on, man. Like, I don't want to know what you're thinking. Like, it's kind of, he's shrouded in mystery, man. It just makes him a fucking badass. But yeah, I love the whole fucking episode, and I could not believe how forward they moved the ball on Boba's time and dime. And, you know, he got a new ship, as you mentioned.
Mhm.
and it's got no room. Banff man, jump in and tell people what you're talking about before the show.
Bamf. I just said I can't wait to see little Grogu in the droid dome, in the bubble.
Why do you think that's going to happen?
Because if it doesn't, it's a crime.
True, I concur.
What is wrong with me that never occurred to me? All I thought was like, well, there's no droid there, and I'll leave it at that. Like I didn't fucking think like that's where Grogu's going to sit.
They put the little fish dome on it. It's like he put the child seat in his Naboobian fighter. I'm like, that's adorable.
Did you see? I think that's the one Anakin used in episode 1. Like the markings on it underneath the cockpit and everything are the same. Spit take. Legit spit take.
Whoa. All right. He said it was the Queen of Naboo's cruiser, right? He was like, this cruiser was made for the Queen of Naboo, or commissioned for the Queen of Naboo. Who was the Queen of Naboo?
By the Queen, I think it was.
Who was the Queen of Naboo?
Amidala.
That was Amidala, wasn't it?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. I mean, it's the smallest of small worlds. If that fucking ship that tiny Anakin was like, this is better than pod racing, ends up in a junk heap on Tatooine. But okay.
I mean, Tatooine is kind of like the center of that universe, though. Like, it's like a magnet, it seems. Like, I mean, think about how much Star Wars there is out there, hours-wise, and think about how much of it revolves around Tatooine. You know, I think it's not in Empire, and it's not in... Empire Strikes Back is the only movie of the original 6 that doesn't have Tatooine in it. And it's only Empire, Force Awakens, and Last Jedi that don't have it out of all 9. So 6 of the 9 movies, Tatooine is in. And then, like, basically every episode of the TV shows. So there's something about that planet. It's like the center of the universe, metaphorically.
Well, let's break it down. Can't be Hoth. You need a lot of snow. Could be Endor, but, you know, you got to go hang out in the redwoods all day long. Sand, they got that in California for days, so...
Mm-hmm.
Or Tunisia.
Yeah, Jacob Brown in chat just said, desert equals cheap.
Yeah, that's. I guess that kind of what I was thinking. Like, it's accessible, so it's going to make it.
Did you guys think?
Yes, they do so much desert indoors too, but only at night stuff.
What do you think they made the spear into for Grogu? Do you think it's a lightsaber? Do you think it's a little?
I thought it was a little chainmail outfit.
Yeah, I thought it was a little onesie.
Yeah, in my head, because the way it was in the bag and he folded it and it tied it and it kind of looked like Grogu's head.
Yeah, we saw a bunch of chains, a bunch of mail.
A little. That's why it was a little ring. So I thought like
Yeah.
maybe he was making him like a chainmail suit, which I didn't even go like, why would he do that? Never occurred to me that Grogu would get in that fucking empty bubble. And so it never occurred to me that, like, you know, oh shit, maybe he's like, what's he gonna do? Give him this fucking suit of armor, throw him in the fucking car, and fuck off until Mandalorian season 3?
I
Which
wonder
is why I don't think that he reunites with Grogu in this season.
How could he not? They keep pointing to it.
I mean, it is already the height of oddness that you drop shifted an entire episode of your Boba Fett show to not show Boba Fett at all. And to not be about this story.
Did you say the height of hotness? Because I absolutely agree.
Oddness. Like, I love this episode. It's the weirdest, it's the oddest flex. We're like, we're going to make the best episode of the show. Not at all about this show.
It was kind of strange, yes.
So for it to not just give us one episode about Mando and his quest, and he's got to purify himself in the waters of Lake Minnetonka, and he's got to go back and get Grogu in order to be a Mandalorian again, to then continue that thread when Boba Fett is apparently trying to take over the criminal underworld and he needs muscle, and Din is the muscle, and there's going to be, Sand People revenge or whatever else is happening, to then keep telling the Grogu story. Like, part of me thinks that's just the promise for what we're going to get in Mando season 3 is the reunion of Grogu and Din. It's always funny when your brain just like drops a gear and you catch it.
I'm all for fucking the reunitement.
Reunitement, and it feels so good.
Half-Man, did you sneak in here for the reunitement?
I was gonna say, if it is a Beskar chainmail outfit, lightsabers can't cut Beskar. Do you think that's how Grogu survives Kylo Ren destroying Luke's Jedi? Like, he cuts everybody down, but little Grogu's like, and you just can't get through him? So everybody who's worried about Grogu...
Wait, not Kylo Ren. Anakin or Kylo Ren? Wait.
Well, Kylo Ren in before episode 7, destroys Luke's Jedi Academy and kills everybody. And everybody's been worried about Grogu. Like, oh, I hope Mando takes Grogu away so he doesn't die by Kylo Ren's hand when he turns bad. But if he has a Beskar chainmail suit, I don't think Kylo Ren could kill him.
Yeah, but don't you think Kylo Ren would have mentioned it in the movies? Like, there was a little Yoda-like guy wearing chainmail, and I could not kill the fuck out of him to save my life. He had a magic hair shirt. He was like one of them Mormons or something like that, and I couldn't. His magic pajamas completely stopped my fucking lightsaber.
And clearly, then he's the least resourceful person ever. He's like, I'm just wailing this dude for a while, and it's not working. I could drown him, maybe. No, that's not gonna work. I could bury him.
Very, very Tom and Jerry to just do one thing over. Yeah, I didn't even think of what the repercussions would be for the little outfit. Like, I just thought it was like, oh, he's making him some clothes. But it sounds like they're loading him up for like adventure.
Yeah. He's got to carry a ring to the fires of Mount Doom.
Yeah.
I'm in for that. For some reason, I thought season 3 of Mandalorian wouldn't have any Grogu in it. But if it's just like, oh, there's Grogu, and now he's got chainmail. How's meal or mail?
Mail. You got mail.
You've got chainmail. And they're back to back, and they both got sabers.
Oh,
Dark saber and a lightsaber. Back, he's on a couple apple boxes, so he could be on back to back.
Just floating.
Yeah, you can do that. Magic, whatever. I enjoyed this episode quite a bit, as did most people. We did get a bit of they brought Boba back at the end, not Boba Fett, but Fennec Shan appears at the very end to recruit our man. You know what I found interesting too was like I like the way Favreau paces things. I know some people have been like complaining about Book of Boba. I'm not one of them. I'm there for the whole ride. But I enjoy like the leisurely pace with which he'll tell a story. Like, there's felt like 5 minutes of the Mandalorian catching a plane, essentially. And like,
it's so weird. Why is he flying commercial?
It's crazy. But I like the whole, I just like seeing that world expanded. Somebody bullied me into changing my hat, but I really don't like the black.
Come on, man.
This is the look, man.
That's the look.
Who's going to take me seriously wearing that hat? This hat? You're going to listen to every fucking word I say. I like how he expands the universe. Even something as goofy as like, oh, if you're going to fly on a fucking, commercial airline in their world, the Star Wars world, which you've been in since you were 7 years old, here's how they take away your weapons and how they store them and shit like that. I was way interested.
Same way they do it at Walt Disney World, Galactic Star Cruiser. Seemed like a little bit of a commercial to me.
I thought that too, where I was like, I wonder if these things are going to tie in. I was trying to listen for the name to see what it is. But one is, he was on a commercial flight that seems like a Southwest flight.
Flight Delta.
Because they had the stewardess who was like making funny jokes. No, I'm kidding. And it's not stewardess, it's flight attendant. It seemed like a commuter flight that he was on, Whereas the Galactic Star Cruiser, isn't that meant like you're fucking going on a cruise in space? But
yeah, I guess Galactic Star Cruiser is more like Carnival Cruise.
yes, I think we figured it out.
There you go.
But
I will tell you that the two things that I was like, was A, the 10 minutes we just get to watch them build a starship, which reminded me very much of Iron Man in Iron Man 1. Just like, what are we doing now? Hanging out in Tony's lab, building a fucking Iron Man suit. There any bad guys coming? Any drama? Nope. Just can this dude build a suit? It's like, all right, I get it. And Amy Sedaris makes all of that just delicious and delightful. And fucking Jawas on the side. Cocktail Jawas, 2 at a time.
That was pretty fucking amazing. Where all of a sudden you're like, what did she say? She dated a Jawa, and then she keeps going furry.
Bam.
Or hair, something. Yeah.
Manscaped missed out this week. Think of all the fun we could have had with hairy Jawas.
We'll give them a reference just because we love them. Manscaped.com, kids. The hairy Jawas, they know what we're talking about. Yeah, what a treasure she is.
She's great.
Amy Sedaris. And like what fun she brings to like all of her scenes. You know, and not like the most obvious choice in the world, but now you're like, I'm so glad she's part of this universe. Like she's legit fun and funny. And somebody who was telling me, Luke in our office said that one of the little droids that she was dealing with or talking to is a droid from like one of the best video games they ever made. JC, Banff man, do you have anything on this?
Banff. Yeah, it was from Jedi Fallen Order, which everybody loved.
And which robot that hangs out with her?
Yeah, the one with like the square face with the 2 legs that has like kind of inverted joints.
BD, I think it
BD1,
is.
yeah.
So he was from a video game.
Well, his I don't know if it's the same one. Somebody was saying like
just a BD, just a BD,
same model,
like an R2 unit kind of thing.
JC, I have a deep trivia question that you may or may not know the answer to. Is that long shaft unit that they used in like they had to line it into what they had 9 names for it? It's an inverse projecting neutral coil or whatever the fuck. Is that the same rod from the trash compactor?
I thought that's what it looked like. When I was looking at it, I was like, it looks like the rod they put between the walls.
I bet you it is. Because I saw somebody texted me an image of that thing and was like, how do they keep doing things like this? So it has to be.
Yeah.
Which is so deep cut. Like who was sitting? Was that Bryce Dallas Howard who was like, you know what would be cool? Let's give that thing that they used to brace the trash compactor purpose.
Yes.
Or was that like Filoni?
I don't think it's Bryce Dallas Howard. That seems like it's scripted. That seems like, I'm not taking anything away from her, but that seems way too nerdy for the guest director. And then I know she's like, you know, connected to the world.
She's in the family.
She's directed before. It's in the family. But I think that's Favreau or Filoni. Like,
or like art department, you know, like production designers. Like, you know what would be cool? What if it was this? And everybody said, that's a fucking awesome idea. Let's do it. I will say that I was less enamored of Rebel Alliance X-Wing pilots as bullshit traffic cops. You're going a little fast up there. That bugged you? It bugged me just because I would like Rebel Alliance pilots to have more to do, even though the Empire seems to be, you know, having been dealt with, but not be fucking asshole cops busting a dude for speeding in space, looking for his license and registration. Like, I don't know.
You're what's wrong with the internet, you fuck. Yeah, you can't just fucking. It was a quick scene. There was no skin off your ass. Why do you care? It was cute. I like it. And plus, that dude came back. The dude from Kim's Convenience.
Kim's Convenience.
Video. I used to be in New York.
Old New York, yeah.
I like the fact. I kind of like that they're like traffic cops. They're like, well, we beat the Empire, so somebody's got to restore order to the galaxy. I didn't bump into that at all. I mean, of course, I respect your opinion, but that didn't bum me out at all.
Yeah, maybe it's just I have had enough experience with shitty cops pulling me over for no reason that that I didn't need the Rebel Alliance to also suddenly be those guys too.
You brought something personal to this.
I brought my baggage, which is fair.
Fair
And
enough.
bounce me if you want, but that does not get me to, oh, these are just good guys hanging about, just razz them a little bit, and like, oh god damn it.
I liked when he fucking flipped a switch and was like, chang.
I mean, that's why that beat exists entirely, is for him to just dust them. And I get it. But still.
All the flying stuff was really sweet. They took us into Beggar's Canyon.
I know.
Have we ever been into Beggar's Canyon? Did they do it in the pod race? Or
they
no?
did it in the pod race. It looked like almost the exact same as the pod race, only it had been like urban sprawled into it a little bit.
Yeah,
I like
Pueblos instead of the rocks there.
I like the X-Wing pilot because he comes into the bar and hangs out and tweets about it. I feel like it gives us cred.
Again, personal reasons why JC likes that guy. Personal reasons why I'm not that thrilled by that guy.
It is. I'm having a good time with it, man. Like my hat's off to those cats, and I'm like it. It never once do I ever sit there and go like, man, I wish I was doing it. It just makes me like a 7-year-old again. I'm so happy to be like subject to somebody else's imagination with these characters that I grew up with. My relationship to these characters was always distant, right? They were always up on a screen or some such shit. And never once do I go like, ooh, I wish I was on set for that. I wish they'd make them faster, and I wish people would spoil shit more for me. Like, I know a guy who makes the fucking show, shoots it, and he won't tell me shit. So that I wish I had, and I would be in the show in a heartbeat and shit. But I never like think about making it, like writing it or fucking directing it. Like directing it seems complicated, but writing it, like I like what he's doing. Like even the episodes of Boba Fett that people were like, boo. I like the pace, man. It's so fucking leisurely. And I've seen people like, oh, it's such a formula. He goes from one town to another and does a thing. I'm like, and like, as long as they keep doing that and give me good Star Wars where I'm like, right on, this is fucking fun. I know a bunch of people got pissy about the kids on the bike, the mods and stuff. I didn't, I'm like, whatever, that's fine. I didn't bump into it as hard as others did. That last episode though was fucking dope. When we did the last episode of Fat Man, I hadn't seen it yet, but man, that was fucking dope. But this current episode of Boba Fett, aka The Mandalorian season 2B, was absolute fucking magic, and made me go like, what are they gonna do in fucking season 3? I just they keep up in the ante. I love what they're doing. It makes me so fucking happy, dude. I watch that shit with my wife. She watches the show and she enjoys it. Like, we get to be kids again together watching Star Wars. I didn't know her when fucking Star Wars came out when we were kids. And this is like kind of the next best thing, man. Like where it's like, we're grown ass adults. I'm 51, she 50, and still for like half hour, 45 minutes, it's like, wow, like that's cool. Like that's, I don't know, it makes me feel young. I love it so much. But this episode was just dynamite.
I agree.
The bunch of people in chat calling out, he wasn't pulled over for speeding. It was his young Clark Kent Superman moment, flying too close to the Southwest flight.
Commercial, yeah, that's what it was.
Mm-hmm.
Also, Mandalorian.
Is that Mark?
No. Not at all.
Mandalorian says wizard, like Anakin did. Like,
yes.
Was kind of like the kid, like, so cool. He said wizard, which I love. Kind of like, I feel like it legitimizes episode 1 using that word.
Well, somebody just has to say laser sword.
Yeah.
And that'll do that. What
did I ever?
Not the most he didn't really wield the dark saber that much in the end of the Mandalorian, did he?
No, because he just kicked what's his face's ass,
and that's how he got it. So this is the first time we get to see him really wield it, then, right?
Yeah. And the idea that it gets heavier the more you use it, if you don't know how to use it well, like I dug that, like it's an enchanted sword that has its own fucking rules, and he doesn't know how to use it yet. Like that's kind of fun.
And he cut his own leg with it.
I know. I left him just gimping his way. He's like, fuck, I gotta go down this ladder now, son of a bitch.
And then he did, and he gimped for a while. It was dope. He cut a fucker's head off in this episode. No?
Yeah. Brought to you by Disney Plus. Just
yeah.
Sliced the dude in half.
He's a space alien, dog-looking thing. So they're like, you can cut his fucking head. But if it was a human being, forget it. Yes.
I love they kind of touched on like a real deep cut kind of expanded universe thing. Was it only Jedi could use lightsabers because like a sword has a counterbalance to it. So you don't cut your arm off or your leg off because like a real heavy sword has like a pommel that balances it. Whereas a lightsaber only Jedis can use because they're more hyper aware with the Force, so they don't accidentally slice their head in half. And I liked in this episode that they showed him using this, because it's the weight is only in the handle, that he did slice himself, because it felt like a cool callback to like, oh, this is why only Jedi use that type of thing. Like it's not to be used by amateurs, which for somebody who like read the West End Games role-playing book, 30 years ago, I was like, ha! I felt like Leonardo DiCaprio in that meme pointing at the camera.
Going like,
yeah. Except that Finn has a.
You see the Jonah Hill story that was going around where he talked about like Leo was like, you got to watch Mandalorian, man. Watch it with me. And he fucking made him watch it. And he was like, I don't know what the fuck was going on. It wasn't for me. He kind of poo-pooed it instead. Shit. But the fact that Leonardo DiCaprio was very into the Mandalorian, like made me happy in some weird way.
Well, I feel like it came right on the heels of that fake story about, I'm sure you saw it, about the girl who went on her worst date ever was with Leonardo DiCaprio when he rented out a movie theater and made her watch all 9 Star Wars movies in a row while he ran up and down the aisles with a lightsaber acting it out.
That was not that was a fake story. I never even heard that story, but it was untrue.
It was fake. Yeah, it was made up by a satire site, but it took up a lot of it. It picked up some steam online because suddenly it was, how dare this woman not think this was the best date ever? But clearly it's one of those, it's a lie that's just close enough to the truth to work, that Leo's a fucking Star Wars fan, because why would he not be?
That's the thing. But if you were a fan, don't you want to be in it? Like, this is a guy who could call them up and be like, let me be in it.
I mean, I guess, except, suddenly then it becomes, is that Leonardo DiCaprio in Jedi robes? That's weird. Like, it starts to pierce the illusion when you suddenly get fucking Jack Dawson.
I say worth it.
It reminds me of a director I know who said, I don't ever want to do an episode of The Mandalorian, even though he knows the showrunner and the DP on the show.
Maybe I just want to watch this.
That would be my bigger thing. I'd be like, if they were ever like, we want you to come where, I'd be like, can I be in it? They're like, in your episode? I'm like, in a better episode? Like, by a better director? Who else you got coming on?
Like, I'll counter your offer with, you direct it, and I'll just be in it. Like, that's
how about that? But I wouldn't even like, back in the day, I would imagine young Kev Smith would be like, ooh, I want to write it. But I don't ever want to write the show. Like, as I watch it, I'm like, I like exactly what he's doing. I like the pace of the story he's telling. The only thing I don't like about Mandalorian is having to wait every week, but there's also something nice about that. There's some lesson in discipline there.
I think that similarly would be nostalgic. Like, that's why I kind of dig it, which is, this is the way I intook television information for the bulk of my life, was I got to wait a week to get it.
He's exactly right, kids. It does. It takes me back where it's like, ooh, they're gonna make me wait. And I had no choice but to wait back in the day.
Yeah, it's like, oh shit, is fucking Garth Knight really gonna kill Michael Knight? I gotta tune in not just next week, but maybe that's a season cliffhanger. So I gotta wait like 5 months before this shit pops off. Come on.
Is Fonzie gonna make it over the chicken stand?
Or the shark pool.
Oh, the shark. Boy, that became such a pop cultural reference later on in life, as we all know, Jump the Shark. But for like 10, 15, maybe 20 years prior to it becoming a thing, it was literally just something that happened in Happy Days that a lot of people talked about.
Right up until Indiana Jones 4, and then Nuke the Fridge took over.
I took over, yeah, remember that? Nuke the Fridge. Yeah, Boba Fett, Book of Boba Fett. How many more episodes left, Bamf Man?
2. 7 total. You get 2 more.
Fair enough. Well, I got to imagine we're going to see Grogu in one of them.
I still don't think so. But
I mean, at this point, I hope so.
I will put money on it. I'll bet you a crisp $20 bill that we get no Grogu.
I'll take that bet.
And we will pay that bet off in the cantina when next we manage to gather.
I'll take that bet.
I'll tell a quick story here. You mentioned laser sword. So we have a tap handle at the bar that is a lightsaber handle that you pull it and it lights up. And when we first put it on, we had this like almost like Simpsons Android Dungeon comic book shop guy come in, and he's like, "I would like the beer from the lightsaber tap handle." And I said, "Well, you mean the laser sword?" And he goes, "This is a Star Wars bar, and that is called a lightsaber in Star Wars, not a laser sword." And I was like, "Well, I own the bar. I would know the theme of this bar. And in this bar, it's called a laser sword." And he's like, "Well, then it has nothing to do with Star Wars." I go, "Unless you've seen Star Wars Episode 1, where Anakin refers to it as Qui-Gon's laser sword." And he threw his hands up and he left. He was so frustrated that I pulled an in-universe reference to discount his lightsaber demands.
I love how proud JC is of not making money on that customer.
And the guy's probably like, finally, a bar that I can drink at. A bar where I feel welcome. Me, a Star Wars nerd. And then he meets an even nerdier Star Wars nerd who then drives him from the bar with his nerdy knowledge. Very funny.
I'll just go to fucking Bennigan's. I don't give a shit anymore.
Have you watched Encanto by any chance?
I have, yes.
Do you like it? Somebody in chat was like, "Why aren't you guys talking about Encanto?"
I think it's lovely. They
say it's about almost superpowers. No,
it's about a family, the Madrigal family in Colombia. I believe it's Colombia. I think it's Colombia. Who all have sort of each child of this family has a magical gift. Like there's one daughter who's super strong. There's one who can sort of see into the future. Another daughter who can like make things grow out of her hands. But it's very much like the X Mansion, but if it was also in the middle of Colombia, and they sang a lot of Lin-Manuel Miranda songs. But it follows the one daughter who has no gift and what it's like to live in a family of ultimately mutants, but not be the one to also get a superpower. It's gorgeous. I mean, it's fucking Disney. The songs are great. The performances are great. The story that it tells is great. It almost made my top 10. It was one of those like just off the podium numbers that I was going to talk about later when we got to talk about my top 10 for 2021. But might as well do it now. Fuck it. You got what you wanted, Chad. I think it's terrific. If you haven't seen it, see it.
Let's talk about, that's it for Boba and Encanto. Let's talk about, but I will watch Encanto now. Let's talk about Peacemaker, which I have not watched episode 5. Did you watch it?
I did watch it today.
Is there stuff to spoil in it?
It's funny. It's not as deep an episode as episode 4 was. The vigilante in prison just beating up white supremacists and the reasons why, and Peacemaker's issues with his father, like that all felt very, churny. It felt very sticky. It felt very much like we're getting messy with these characters in a great way. This episode was less that. This episode was, we got a mission to go on, and it's going to be brutal and violent and funny and all those things, but it wasn't some like super deep character episode. A very cool plot development happens by the end that won't spoil if you haven't seen it yet. But I do like how the opposite of your love for the leisurely pace of the Book of Boba, Peacemaker is burning through story. Peacemaker is like, this person's a butterfly, that person's a butterfly, this person's going to find out about that person, and this person's in jail, and like all of these cards start getting turned very, very quickly. And another big one gets turned here in episode 5. So
how many episodes is Peacemaker?
I think it's 8. I think it's 8, but I'm not entirely sure.
I look forward to it. I was told by my wife that I could not watch it without her, so I have not watched this episode yet. But I can't wait to watch it. It's one of my favorite shows that's on at the moment, man.
Do what you must.
Now that Yellow Jackets is over. My God, did you watch Yellow Jackets?
I have not. I'm a bad TV watcher. I know.
My old lady, I shouldn't say that. My young lady wife was talking about a show on Netflix that she wanted me to ask Mark if Mark had seen it, because she binged it and like fucking loved it. It is called what? Archive
81.
Archive 81, but Mark hadn't seen it.
No, I'm like, there are but so many hours in the day, and it's one of those like, I'm going to watch these couple things with my wife, I'm going to watch these couple things by myself, I'm going to do the work that needs doing, and sadly it's not leaving me as much time as I would hope for the shit that I know that I should watch.
I have been in writer mode as well, for stuff I'm doing for me, but also like stuff I've been hired to do. So that eats up a lot of time. It doesn't give you time to like indulge as quickly. I was able to watch Book of Boba because I got up like way early, like 2-3 in the morning, and they dropped the episode, and I was like, you know what? I'm up, so I'll smoke and watch. But most of the time I've been working on a thing that I can't talk about, and another thing that I can't talk about.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, sorry, gang.
Then there was that we got notes on a third thing that I can't talk about. So I've been on a thing, but working on things is fed by all the things that we generally watch. Because it becomes very shorthand. I can't write like Favreau, where it's just like, in this scene, nobody says anything. Like that would drive me nuts. But structure and like ending of episodes, how to go out, how to make them want to tune in for the next one and stuff. That's all been like on my mind as I work on these things that I'm working on, and all that stuff's very helpful.
Yeah, no, it's always good to intake this stuff and see, like, I want to see what that guy's doing. I want to see how they pull this off. I want to see how they made me feel this way, or how they executed this particular plot beat. It's all research.
You know what I've been watching obsessively though for the last week, because I wanted to show my wife. I was like, watch this and you tell me if you think this looks fucking cool. Is that Moon Knight trailer? That fucking, you know what I feel? I'm getting the vibes of. It feels like Marvel's Fight Club, in as much as, like, remember he had the divergent personality.
Mm-hmm.
It feels like that vibe as I watched the trailer again, because we just rewatched Fight Club the other night, which, by the way, fucking holds up, man. Like, his movie's from 1999 and it really holds up. Score, everything. It's fucking such a great flick. But I was watching that going like, wait, now, and then that's when after we watched that, I was like, I gotta show you this Moon Knight trailer. I'm fucking in, dude.
Mhm.
God, I keep pausing. I was pausing it to going, that's Khonshu. And she was like, who's that? I'm like, that's Khonshu, man. That's the Egyptian god of the moon, the night. Like he gives him his powers, man. I'm Khonshu. I need you, Khonshu. And she was like, I don't know what you're talking about. But by the time the trailer was done, she was like, this looks fucking dope. It does, man. Fucking, when's that coming out? March?
I don't recall, but I think so. Spring.
Can't wait.
It's all
Can't wait.
coming.
All right. Boba Fett's out now.
Peacemaker's out.
Peacemaker's out now. A bunch of people blowing up about Encanto. They're like, watch it, asshole. I'm like, I will.
I swear I'll do it.
Good Lord. So, and is that all of our upfront review stuff?
Yeah, I mean, we could bounce right into news. We could do the top 10 of 2021. Whichever order you'd like to do.
I'm trying to think. I watched a movie this week, but what movie was it? Oh, it wasn't. It was boring. All right, let's do your list.
Okay.
This is your top 10 of
top
2021
of 2021. Top 10.
All right, kids, strap in because Mr. Marc Bernardin, he's going to give you his top 10 of 2021. Yes, we're in 2022, and yes, 2021 is the past. But old men like me and Mark, we live in the past. We live for the past. So begrudge him as he tells you his favorite movies of 2021. Did the list change since you were originally going to do it?
It did. It did. It changed by like 2 or 3 things. The most recent addition to the list was Riders of Justice, which we had talked about.
Love that movie.
Yeah. But yeah, and it's not, I mean, it's a little bit late in it's not 2021 anymore, but we're in award season where nominations starting to come out. The Oscars will come out pretty soon. We won't see the Oscars until March and all the movies in 2021. So
contenders, as they call them, Mark. Contenders. Yeah. Have you fucking seen how thick Entertainment Weekly is now?
Well, it's monthly now. It's not weekly anymore.
And yet it's still called Entertainment Weekly.
It is, yeah. Weird, huh?
What kind of fucking conundrum is that?
That's it. We've
yeah, it's award season. So actually, I bet you a lot of your picks are going to be relevant to award season.
I think they will be. So the just off the podium, the 3 movies that didn't make the top 10 cut. Encanto, one of them. Another Disney movie, Luca, Pixar, which I liked quite a bit. And The Beatles Get Back, which, was released on Disney Plus kind of as a TV thing, but it's really a 6-hour documentary about the Beatles. I think we talked about it on the show, but it is as incisive a document of the creation of art as I've seen in a while, as well as this really interesting look at people for whom we have viewed as pop culture gods for so long that we may or may not have forgotten that they were just kids. Like at this point in their lives, they're all in their late 20s, maybe early 30s, and they've been famous for, I don't know, a third of their lives. And, but they're also still just people, just, having weird fucking relationships with each other, falling in love, not in love, don't know what they're going to do next, hungry, thirsty, all of the shit that regular human people do. They just happen to be the most famous people in the world. If you haven't seen it and you're in any way a Beatles fan, run and go see it. Even the most casual Beatles fan will get something out of it. So number 10.
All right, this is the official list, man. That's shit that wasn't even good enough to make the top 10.
Yes.
Here comes Mark with the top 10 in descending order, man, to build your anticipation. My nipples are hard. Let's listen in. Number 10.
Number 10, Tragedy of Macbeth. Denzel Washington, Frances McDormand, Joel Cohen.
Absolutely love this movie.
So good. So good. It again, like Shakespeare can be a barrier for some people, and I 100% get that. It's a barrier for me all the time as well. But this is one of the most accessible versions of Shakespeare that I've seen. And it helps that it has some of the greatest actors of our time doing it, who are not necessarily Shakespeareans, but still have the chops. And so, yeah, it's 100% worth watching. Gorgeous, moving, it's fucking the Scottish play. So
insanely well composed and staged, reimagined. The 10 I bumped because I was like, wow, that's number 10. You liked 9 things better than that?
I did.
Can't wait to hear what they are, because that was fucking good, man. I was gripped. Like, we popped it on and I was like, oh, we'll watch a few minutes. If it's boring, we can turn it off. And the whole time I was this. It's like, oh my God, it's glorious black and white. I absolutely love that movie. It did belong. If I had a top 10, it'd definitely been it, but I imagine it would be higher on mine. But now it makes me so curious to hear what 9 through 1 are. What's number 9?
Number 9 is Nightmare Alley, Guillermo del Toro's sort of remake of what seems to be like a 1940s film noir about like carny freaks and con men and mentalism and all of it.
I'm glad to know that you like this too. I found this movie crazy haunting.
Yeah.
Stuck with me more than most movies did this year. In fact, Film School Fridays, the new podcast I do, tomorrow's episode is about Nightmare Alley.
Yeah, like I thought it was really terrific. I thought it was really, it's an odd movie in 2021 because it is resolutely not cheery in any way. It's a film noir, and if you know how film noirs work, your hero does not usually come out ahead.
And a remake too.
And a remake, I think it's based on the original book. But even still, just like Bradley Cooper's doing good work, Cate Blanchett is doing good work, Rooney Mara is doing really good work. But more than that, it's just, Guillermo del Toro's vision of what circus life is like, his vision of what the 40s were like, and it's if I had one bump on this movie, which is maybe why it's not higher on this list for me, is that it still retains this vision that the 1940s didn't have any people of color in it. And whatever city that they're in, which I think is supposed to be Chicago, that it's still quite as lily white as it is. It doesn't quite feel as real to me, but it's a relatively minor bump, which is why it's still on my top 10, because fucking Guillermo can make a fucking movie.
Yeah. He's very fucking gifted, that Guillermo del Toro. He's releasing 500 or 1,000 print run black and white version of the movie like this weekend.
Yeah.
I think it's in theaters. So like you could see it in black and white. I saw it in color. Yeah, but in retrospect, I wish like I had seen it in black and white. Chogrin, who's the guest on tomorrow's Film School Fridays, he saw the black and white version, said it was fucking beautiful. So yeah. I might actually, honestly, after I watched Nightmare Alley, I was like, I always want to call it Damnation Alley, but that's a completely different movie. After I watched Nightmare Alley, I was like, I loved it. I admire the fuck out of it, but I'll never need to watch that again in my entire life. And now I do actually want to see it again in black and white. Like,
yeah. Like I remember they did that with Mad Max Fury Road. They put out, I guess it was on the video release, the Blood and Chrome edition, which was just black and white. And it's, again, like fucking gorgeous because those guys know how to make movies. So yeah, that's number 9. Number 8, Riders of Justice, which we talked about not too long ago.
Can't fucking say enough good things about it. Hunt it down. Where was it? Hulu or Amazon? Where
was it? On Hulu. It was on Hulu.
Hunt it down, kids. What country is that shit from?
That is from Denmark, I believe.
Oof. What a fucking watch this movie was, man. Mads Mikkelsen is just brutally, darkly wonderful in it. But the story itself was, I hadn't seen it before. And I'm not a math person. I hate math. And it's a math movie that like really fucking, is a lot more pulse pounding than A Beautiful Mind. Let's just leave it there.
Yes, it is. It is closer to The Punisher than Beautiful Mind, as far as math movies go. So yeah, that was number 8. Number 7, Shang-Chi and the Legend of the Ten Rings.
That's number 7.
That's number 7. I had a great time at Shang-Chi. It's a superhero that I was not intimately familiar with from my Marvel reading days. It was never my jam. But, you know, what they did with the character, casting Simu Liu as the lead, he is so charming and so endearing. And the martial arts is top notch. And it's a really great family story, both about the family you're born with and then the family that you make along the way. So yes, Shang-Chi, number 7. Number 6.
Might make my list as well, but I think it would be lower down. Probably if it got in there, it'd squeak in at 10. Number
6, Judas and the Black Messiah.
Is that this year?
That was February of this year.
Was it up for Oscars last year? I think it was.
Maybe it was. Maybe the Beatles makes it on the list after all. Right, because Daniel Kaluuya was nominated, but it got its wide release in February.
It got its wide release later on. Yeah, like it did an Oscar qualifying run before the end of the year, but mostly came out in 2020.
Right. Then never mind. Fuck you, Judas.
It won. Oh, in chat they're saying it won Best Screenplay last year.
Yeah, it did. So never mind. My fact checking was erroneous. So slide everything up. Beatles is number 10. Macbeth at 9. Nightmare Alley at 8. Riders Resist at 7. Shang-Chi at 6.
Encanto's in the wings going, maybe he'll fuck up again and we make the list.
How do I get in this fucking list? Sing a song. Number 5 is The Mitchells versus the Machines.
Oh my God, I haven't watched this, but I've seen the billboards all over town pushing it for awards. And it's from the Spider-Man Into the Spider-Verse guys, right?
It's from Miller and Lord, who gave us 21 Jump Street, Into the Spider-Verse. And it's fantastic. It's this animated movie that Netflix put out about this incredibly dysfunctional family that needs to survive a robot uprising. And it's just wonderful. It's funny and it's sweet and the action is great. And the voice work is great. I can't speak highly enough about this movie. I watched it on a lark. Where the fuck was I? I was in Texas visiting colleges with my son. And we just one night at the hotel, we're just like, what should we watch? And then boom, 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 let's do this. And we both just fell in love with it. You know, and it's also got that thing where by the end of it, you know, you're crying a little bit in a way that your kid doesn't quite understand because he's still, you know, a teenager, but you as a parent are like, this is amazing, I gotta love it. Blah. So good.
It's a Netflix movie?
It's a Netflix movie, yeah. So it's
done and done. Nightmare Alley is going to be on, I think, HBO Max on February 1st.
Ooh.
So if people haven't had a chance to go out and see it, and based on the box office numbers, it did like Kevin Smith business. So like a lot of people did not get to go see it. You're going to be able to watch it at home.
Indeed. I mean, everything.
Just don't make it. You're like, it's Friday night. I got me some Haagen-Dazs, got me some snacks. Let's watch Nightmare Alley, kids. Because you will be like fucking, it'll fuck with your head.
Yeah.
Watch it during the day. You're gonna need some hours to get over this after it's all done.
Yeah, no kidding. Number 4, Spider-Man No Way Home. You know, we have talked at great length about Spider-Man No Way Home for all the reasons we like it. You know, I had issues with the kind of mushy middle section of it, but the beginning of it is fantastic, and the end of it is a fucking home run. Like, it ties up so many different threads. It lands so many different planes, and most of them are emotional. And that, at the end of the day, is kind of what you want out of a movie like that. And
they're running that for Oscars pretty hardcore. I saw the fucking 3 Spider-Men do an interview.
Yeah.
And my wife was like, you got a digital screener of Spider-Man. I was like, the fuck? So they're pushing it.
They're starting it, yeah. And I know the screenplay is out there. I think they're going to be pushing for that. But yeah, I mean, I for all of my misgivings about it, the experience of watching it just made me feel good. You know?
It was bliss. It was absolute bliss.
Indeed. Number 3 is a documentary made by a first-time filmmaker by the name of Amir Thompson. You may know him better as Questlove, the drummer for
Oh my God. What is Questlove's real name?
Amir Thompson.
Never knew that. Summer of Soul?
Summer of Soul, which, you know.
How does this not get nominated for the Academy Awards?
It's a great fucking movie. It's about a collection, a series of concerts that took place in Harlem in 1969 that had been lost to history until 2 years ago when somebody found the reels of footage in their basement. And it's reels of footage including like Stevie Wonder and Nina Simone and Sly and the Family Stone all performing in an outdoor park in Harlem. And it's just ecstatic. You know, it's this really joyous experience of music that's great at a time when the world was changing, you know, in lots of ways, not the least of which are, you know, we were putting men on the moon, you know, Woodstock is happening, civil rights movement is happening, you know, and here's this sort of celebration of Black culture that deserved to have been remembered. And the fact that it finally got its chance is wonderful. And yeah, it's joyous. I think it's also on Hulu. It had a theatrical run, but I think now you can watch it on Hulu. Summer of Soul. So
I'm so happy for him. I also know like David Dinnerstein, I think is one of the producers, but Questlove's such a wonderful guy. And I know the documentary meant a bunch to him and stuff. I haven't watched it yet, but everybody loves it. But I'm gonna watch it now. You say it's on Hulu?
yeah, it's fantastic.
I'm in.
Number two for me was a bit, you know, it's at some point movies become emotional, you know, and you're feeling about them and you're ranking, and even internally in your brain is how did it make you feel when you watched it? And my family had rented out a theater in June for Father's Day, so that we could go see In the Heights on the big screen. And I like wept through the entire movie. Now, some of it is because I was back in a theater. Some of it is because it was Father's Day and I was already emotionally compromised. But then some is because this movie is just incredibly vibrant and joyous, and the music is great. And I love the Broadway show, and I'm a Lin-Manuel Miranda fan. And so all of these things put in the same pot just yielded this really kind of transcendent movie-going experience for me. And I'm not even a musicals fan, but this is just gorgeous. Even my son, who hates musicals, was like, no, this is great. And yeah, some of it is the time and the place, but I think it's a gorgeous movie that has quite a bit to say about the time that we're living in, while also having fucking banging music numbers.
That's number two?
That's number two.
In the Heights?
In the Heights.
That leaves one spot left, kids. Before we see that top spot, just to let cats know in chat, I am not stoned. I'm being quiet because I made a promise that I was going to let Mark talk this year. So just because I'm like quiet, don't mean I'm stoned. I don't get stoned. I'm a 51-year-old man. Like, I get centered. Teenagers get stoned. So no, I'm not stoned. I'm just trying to fucking let him talk, for God's sakes, man. This is such a fickle audience.
So number one.
All the little kids in Springfield are SOBs. There, I said, just like Gabbo. All right, number one. We get to find out what's number one on Mark's top 10 list of 2021. Watch it be a movie that came out in 2020.
2018's greatest hit.
Mark loved Avatar. Yes, that's right.
You guys, are you familiar with this Matrix movie? No. The first Matrix movie.
Oh my God, is Matrix going to be your number one?
Oh no, it isn't.
Did you see it?
I did.
Well, before we jump to number one, which is probably going to be all glory and shit, and I bet you I can guess what it is. Do you have a little side shade for Matrix Resurrection?
I feel like there were these two competing impulses on the part of Lana Wachowski, which was, I do kind of want to continue the story, and I love Keanu Reeves and I love Carrie-Anne Moss and I love these two characters. I want to give them a chance for real romance. And you know, when that movie does indulge in that choice, it's actually really lovely. And then the other one is, I want to burn the corpse and salt the earth so that nobody can ever make another Matrix movie. And so here's my version of that, which is take everything that you thought you loved about it, invert it, and bury it up its own ass, and then just have it kind of comment on itself in ways that don't translate to entertainment. I didn't like this movie for a bunch of different reasons, but none the least of which is it, like all of the things that were cool about The Matrix, it went the opposite way. Like Keanu Reeves can do Kung Fu, and now what does he do? He force pushes things away. You know, like what do we hate about The Matrix Reloaded? The 20-minute just download from the bad guy explaining shit. Now we get 2 of those. Man, I just, nah.
Nah.
Nah. You know, like there was even a moment where, you know, the movie wants you to think that Neo, Thomas Anderson, is torn between understanding or believing that the world he's living in is real and the world of the Matrix was real. And to do that as a kind of ongoing push and pull about a guy not sure about the fabric of reality is interesting, except that the movie tells you from the very first scene that the Matrix is a real place by having characters who are in that Matrix pushing to the real world. I'm like, oh, well, then you took out all the suspense of us wondering if maybe those first 3 movies were just video games, if they were just imagination. Were those the ravings of a mind losing its grasp on the truth? That'd have been cool. Didn't go that way. Instead, it went this way. So no, I was not a fan of The Matrix Resurrections. I wanted to be. Nobody was more in the bag for this movie than I was, but it just didn't not just deliver me what I wanted, but deliver a thing unto itself that made sense.
Well, if that means that your number 1 slot, if it's not Matrix Resurrections, it can only be one other movie. Let's hear it.
If you walk without rhythm, you won't attract the worms, Kevin.
I knew it. I knew it. I knew it. I could have called this like months ago.
Pointed at the bleachers.
Now, I was there when you watched this picture.
Yes, the first time.
It must have grown on you substantially because you liked it well enough when we first saw it, but I did not get the impression that you were like, that's my favorite movie of the year. How do we get there?
It took the second viewing for me, because again, like I came to it, as we talked about it both in the room and on the podcast, as a fan of both the books and the David Lynch movie. And so the first time I saw it, it was a comparison viewing. Like, how does this stack up to the other versions of it that I know? And, you know, not to say that I found it wanting, it just, it didn't, I couldn't take it on its own terms at that moment. The second time I saw it was, oh shit, I see all the things that he's doing now. I see all of the sort of intuitive leaps that he's making. I see the choices that he's making, and the design work remains amazing. And Chalamet is doing some stuff with it. Like, I still have problems with how it ends because it doesn't, for me, promise quite the story that I know is coming. But given that we are 100% in getting the second half of that movie, I think it's masterful, and I think it's emotional. Ultimately, which was, you know, always the issue with the David Lynch version, was that it was very sterile. But I think that this is digging deeper into Paul Atreides, and I love it, and I love it.
Shia Lude, man, fuck. I never would have guessed it. Yet I completely knew it. There it is, Mark's top 10 list for 2021, kids. Some people have asked, do you have one? No. Some of what he said would have been on mine. But you know.
Yeah. And there's some stuff that I haven't seen. So like, I haven't seen Don't Look Up yet. I haven't seen Cyrano. I haven't seen Titan. I haven't seen Tender Bar. Like there's a handful of sort of Oscar-y movies that I haven't seen. Pig, which I've heard is great. So, you know, to a certain degree, don't take omission for you know, a lack of appreciation. Just at some point, there's some holes in that. The things I saw, I like those the most.
There it is, kids. Mr. Marc Bernardin brought you quality. Quality.
Separating the wheat from the chaff.
Kiss his feet, you son of a bitch. He brought you quality. All right. I guess we should get to the news. Is there any news, Mark?
There's a handful of news out there, my friend.
Let's throw that handful of news in my face, man. Like so much fucking salt in the middle of a fight where I'm like, and then punch me in the gut with news.
There were two things that broke today that I was not really going to talk about.
Can I take that back? I want to do take two.
All right, go for it.
Throw that in my face like you're Miggs in the fucking cell block, and I'm Clarice Starling, and then fucking, Lecter's like, Agent Starling, come back. And he's like, I would never have that happen to you, man. He was so pissed off that dude whipped cum at her. That's when I knew he was a gentleman.
So in this scenario, you're the one getting cum whipped in his face.
I'm Clarice Starling, you're Miggs.
Okay.
Multiple Miggs.
I wasn't sure he could get it going again this quickly, but multiple Miggs.
Well remembered. What news we got?
There were two things that broke today, which are kind of personality-based news, less things that are happening. The first was weird in that there's a Ezra Miller recorded like what seemed to be a TikTok or some kind of video that began to spread virally, where he's calling out the Ku Klux Klan, a very specific chapter of the Ku Klux Klan. Basically, it's, come at me, bro. I'm Ezra Miller. You know what you're doing. Oh, hey, Shecky.
She's listening, dude. She'll have an opinion on TikTok stuff. She's got her own TikTok, and no, she doesn't.
She doesn't yet.
Why did he do this? What's this? I mean, look, nobody likes the Klan, but why is he against this particular Klan chapter?
It's unclear. Like, he offered no specifics whatsoever, and so far, the internet has not clarified what that is. But I mean, it's Ezra. It's the Flash versus the KKK, which is an interesting way to promote a movie. Hey, I'm all for going up against the KKK. I just didn't quite expect Ezra Miller to be the soldier of this particular moment, but okay, cool. The other thing was Evangeline Lilly has, I guess, outed herself as an anti-vaxxer. She went to a rally in DC, I think over last weekend or recently.
Wait, wasn't she an anti-masker?
She's an anti-masker and an anti-vaxxer. She doesn't
remember when she got in trouble for the mask stuff. There were, because people were like, shut the fuck up or else they're going to kick you out of the Quantumania.
Yeah.
And then if I remember correctly, she kind of backtracked and was like, hey, perhaps I'm wrong or something like that. But I did not hear that she was anti-vax as well.
I think she's mostly anti-mandate, but because the government shouldn't be able to force you to put things in your body, which, okay. But again, that has never really been a position of the government. It's just been, if you want to have access to certain goods and services, then we would require you to be vaccinated. If you don't want those services, then by all means, go about your life, be happy if you can.
Hey, Banff man, jump in here real quick and tell us if chat is lighting up with people having opinions.
No, we're safe so far.
We're okay so far?
As soon as I say that.
It will happen.
Look, her stance is her stance, and this is what I'll say. I'm not going to... I'm double vaxxed and boosted. And if I could get another booster, I'd get more if I could. So that's where I stand and shit. I also, don't work for a major corporation. I mean, I guess like Lionsgate has Clerks 3, but I don't work for them. This is somebody who works for like Disney. Do you think they're pleased with this turn of events?
I can't imagine they are. But
freedom of speech.
We're
living.
Absolutely. And then the last thing, really quickly up top, is that a Tennessee school board voted to drop The Pulitzer Prize winning graphic novel Mouse.
I saw this morning, based on something that I'm like, one of them was nudity.
Yeah.
And I had to really think hard back to my fucking Mouse reading days to remember if there was any nudity. And if there is, it certainly is not suggestive nudity. It's horrifying.
No, I mean, there's nudity in Schindler's List because people were brutalized in almost every way you could brutalize people. And so, yeah, I don't understand the criticisms of it, other than it seems like there was one dude who read it and didn't like it and didn't understand why that needed to be the way we were teaching the Holocaust.
The fuck is wrong with people? Guy like that, same kind of guy that's like, why do rebel X-Wings got to be the cops in this galaxy?
Okay.
Picayune trying to find fault in everything. Why? Why do people? Why, Mark? Why are people like that?
I'm not entirely sure, other than small-minded and ignorant. Neil Gaiman had, I think, which is my favorite quote about it. He said, "There's only one kind of people who would vote to ban Mouse, whatever they're calling themselves these days."
It's got a point. Honestly, that's the first thing I thought of when I saw that story this morning. I'm like, the only reason to come out against this book is if you come out against this book on a regular basis when it's not this book.
Yeah.
Don't matter how it's disguised, you just come out against that. Yeah, it seems weird, man, because there's nothing offensive about the book. You're talking about a multiple award-winning book. What did it win? Fucking
Pulitzer.
For heaven's sake.
Everything a book could win, it's won.
And this is like the book that, like, you know, comic books, of course, now are enjoying incredible reputational rise based on the multi-billion-dollar movies they're making out of these franchises. But believe it or not, kids, let me take you back to the early 90s and beyond, when maybe the late 90s, when the comic book business was hurting really, really bad and stuff, and Marvel particularly had stock that was like worth a penny or something like that. One thing you could always count on is the stellar reputation of Mouse. They would write about it in the New York Times and Time Magazine. All smart people would talk about it. Then they talked about The Watchmen as well, Alan Moore's Watchmen. These were the like books that legitimized comic books in the eyes of the mainstream. Like, oh, well, comic books. There's so many articles I've read over the course of my life. Well, based on Mouse alone, comics aren't just for kids anymore, are they? Meet Mouse and shit like that. So this book's been around for damn near fucking 35, 40 years.
Yeah.
Who the fuck wants to quote unquote cancel that book now? How is that book in any way, shape, or form a detriment to education?
You know, I think this, as we're beginning to see, the arguments against, critical race theory were less about critical race theory and more about the people who wrote books that could be considered any way or shape to do with race. And so then it became an assault on books by Black authors, on books by Latinx authors, by books by anybody who wasn't just straight up a white person. And I think Mouse is getting caught up in that, which is, we don't like this. We don't like what it says. We don't like what it says about these particular people, i.e. Nazis. And we don't like the way it says it. And so now we've decided we don't want this book anymore. We don't want to be challenged by our literature. We just want the literature that we like. And it's a slippery slope once you decide to legislate the ability to ban a book because you don't like it.
Sir Davy Sockrocker says, America isn't one country. We're barely 50 connected states. It's not wrong.
Yeah.
A lot of different countries going on within this country.
Indeed.
Well, I don't want to live in the country that doesn't fucking let Mouse be on their shelves. Come on, man. This book is educational more than anything else.
Yeah. And also it's really good.
Yeah, it's insanely well done. It's a beautiful book too, graphically just beautiful.
Yeah, Art Spiegelman.
And now people are like, well, maybe nowadays people are like, Oh, big deal. But like this was a breakthrough fucking book, man. And like brought real legitimacy to the comic book field and respect, it's just ridiculous. I'm going to borrow a line from Good Will Hunting, a movie I did not write, but was a co-executive producer on, or so co-associate producer on, or whatever the fuck. Fucking people baffle me. I'll use another line more familiar. How about dem apples? That's for the populists out there.
Indeed.
I was going deep cuts, Mark.
It was a good deep cut.
Thank you.
Trenchant.
True line. One of my favorite lines in cinema history because it fucking is applicable every day. As applicable now as it was in 1997 when the movie came out. And won an Academy Award, I might add.
Indeed. So moving on to less potentially polarizing news and to things that we can all just celebrate is on the horizon. Namely, James Gunn is prepping another Suicide Squad spin-off television show.
What?
Yes.
Did he say what?
He did not say what. His quote is, "We're working on something else now, another TV show that's connected to that universe," he told Deadline. "I can't quite say."
He's busy. My God, that guy can multitask. It's nuts. Remember, I interviewed him last week. We still haven't put that fucking clip up of the long interview. Mm-hmm. But he was, promoting fucking Peacemaker, and he was working on Guardians 3 or the Christmas special, whichever one comes first.
Yeah, I think it's Guardians 3 that he's on the set of. He talked about a little bit about the season 2 of Peacemaker, which has yet to be officially greenlit, but according to him, there's a really good chance that it will be, because they're the biggest show in the world right now. He continued speaking from the set of Guardians 3 in Atlanta.
I wonder if it's Dave.
That would be my guess.
The Small Chin Polka Dot Man series.
Polka Dot Man series.
But doesn't he? Spoilers. Didn't he die at the end of Suicide Squad?
He did, but there's no reason it couldn't be a prequel series. So he
Paul should do anything, man. He's fucking wonderful.
Fuck yeah. According to sources, Gunn has approached HBO Max with the idea for another series built around another one of the characters in Suicide Squad. The project is in the embryonic stages with nothing written or greenlit, but HBO Max is said to be high on it based on Gunn's enthusiasm for the idea. He would not confirm nor deny that it's Bloodsport, played by Idris Elba, or Harley Quinn, played by Margot Robbie. But it seems that the fact that those two are honking movie stars, they might not be able to squeeze a TV series in. All he says is, "I can't say anything. It's connected to the universe. I don't think it will be the same genre as Peacemaker. It won't be as much a comedy as Peacemaker, but it will be in the same universe," which I think does give some credence to the potential of a Polka Dot Man show, because that doesn't feel like it would be a comedy, but it could also be just really fucking good. Because I'd watch this Small Chin do just about anything.
Me as well. All right. That's good news.
Cool. Today, Arnold Schwarzenegger tweeted and Instagrammed a picture of himself, a movie poster for a film that may or may not be called Zeus, with him playing the titular Greek god. And the dateline is February. Now, I don't know if this is a movie, if it's a TV show, if it's a fucking commercial for the Super Bowl to sell, I don't know, car batteries or whatever, but it is giving me the big King Conan vibes we always wanted, like buff fucking 70-year-old Arnold Schwarzenegger with a gray ass beard as a badass elder warrior person. All I'm saying is I'm fucking here for Arnold Schwarzenegger as the God of Thunder.
Do they mean this February, like next week, or next February?
Unclear. There was never a date on it. It was just February. Now, whether that's an announcement or a drop, like, fuck it, we're putting it on Netflix. Here you go. I don't know, but it titillated me. I was titillated.
In chat, somebody suggested Los Angeles Catfish said Super Bowl spot, maybe?
It's definitely on the table. And whether it's a Super Bowl.
Did you see that John Hamm Apple spot. So fucking good. So charming, man. He's a
that dude.
Yeah, make him a Batman. I'm not
Mm.
saying make him the Batman, but like they're making more than one Batman movie now. So
That dude
give
ought to
him
be
a
a
fucking
Batman.
cape, man. He just looks like an action figure. And he's funny too. Put him in Peacemaker. Heed my advice, Hollywood. Look at my career. I know whereof I speak.
He's a smarty.
James Gunn is like, I'm doing fine without your advice, Kev.
Thank you, Kevin.
Yeah.
We're okay. Apple has decided to make a Godzilla television show.
Okay.
Apple TV has partnered with Legendary for a new original live action show based on the creatures in the mysterious monster tracking organization Monarch, as seen in the movies. Our friend, I'm not sure if he's your friend, he's my friend, Matt Fraction, is going to be an executive producer. Matt Fraction, who wrote the Hawkeye comics that everybody knows and loves, Matt Fraction, who wrote Casanova, Matt Fraction, who wrote Odyssey, a sort of spacefaring version of the Iliad. Matt Fraction's a lovely guy, and I'm very happy for him that he's getting to take a big ass swing at a big ass franchise like Godzilla.
May I pitch a theme song?
Go for it.
Up from the depths, 30 stories high, breathing fire, head in the sky, Godzilla, 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 and Godzuki.
I feel like they missed a trick by not just having somebody with an acoustic guitar in any of those Godzilla movies, just sort of strumming that out the same way, you saw some guys doing the original 70s animated theme to Spider-Man in
Yes.
the Spider-Man movie.
One of the greatest fucking parts of the Godzilla franchise is that animated series song, Godzilla. All right. That's good news. They should do that.
Well, what?
They should do that Monarch series. Makes a lot of sense.
Totally. And, Apple seems to have all of the money in the world. And
Will John Goodman be in it? Wasn't he part of Monarch?
He was. Yeah, he was in Godzilla versus Kong.
He don't get killed, right?
I think he does.
Did
I
he?
think he does. But again, it's science fiction, man. Nobody's dead until you see a body.
Godzilla.
I remember hearing once, and I was fascinated by it. The creation of the original Godzilla roar was a dude with a metal glove rubbing his hand up and down a cello, and then put through a processor. But even in 1954, whenever that first movie came out, it was just that, and it's just that. It's right along there with how we make a lightsaber noise. Well, we're going to electrify this wand and wave it in front of a TV, and then you get the whoop, whoop. That's the old school Ben Burt way. I think there was some kind of theremin involved, maybe, for making the Doctor Who TARDIS warping sound or whatever. Just the creation of the classic sounds that we know of in Hollywood was always incredibly low tech. I think, was it on one of those documentaries of Ben Burt just standing there with a wrench, hammering at tension wires to telephone poles to get the laser beam shouts? Pew, pew, pew.
Someone in chat said, Melanin X Halid said, don't forget about the Batman funeral scene leak, guys. Did you see this?
I did not see this.
I thought I was stoned the other night, man. I'm so glad somebody said this, because I was like, holy shit. I watched a whole ass scene from the Batman that was just online. And it was at the end of it, they were like, the Batman rated PG, blah, blah, blah. But it was a whole uncut scene at the wake or the funeral where the car comes driving through. But it wasn't like a trailer. It was a fucking scene. And it was in my Twitter fucking stream, and then it disappeared. But I was so glad I watched it, and I'm not smart enough to capture it. I was trying to figure out I was gonna play it on my laptop and then fucking shoot it with my phone, but for some reason I can't get to Twitter from my laptop lately. I think I have to upgrade. But I'm telling you, it was like a decent 2-3 minute scene from the movie. And I got the distinct impression, since nobody was talking about it in the press, that we were not supposed to see it. It was some sort of fucking accident.
Ooh.
But it looked good, man.
Yeah.
Yeah, it looked moody as fuck. Like, it was a good scene. And it's him as Bruce Wayne. Yeah, it was good. But I'm glad somebody said that. Anybody else see this, or was I centered?
I mean, according to Obi-Wan Kenobi, it wasn't a leak. WB released that to advertise the movie.
Then where is it? Why can't
He
try
was watching
finding
it earlier today on their channel. I guess the Warner Brothers channel.
the hell's the Warner Brothers channel?
Well, on YouTube, you know, whatever they're.
Is it up there right now?
This Obi-Wan in the chat was like it. He watched it today. I don't know. Will Wilkins
On
now says it's on
YouTube.
YouTube.
Everyone's saying it's on YouTube. Funeral scene, YouTube. Yeah, I saw it too. Is it still up there?
I don't know.
I mean, that's
Bamf.
fucking crazy. Yes, Bamf,
It's
man.
showing up in search results for YouTube. Not from Warner Brothers though, like some other guy.
Is it called The
it's
Funeral Scene?
Funeral Scene Extended, the Batman 2022 official clip.
What? Look, what? What?
What?
It's like when Homer found, you know, Mr. Sparkle, and he's like, "It's me." Like, it's just, this is so weird. Like, no, people are saying it's unofficial. I got the distinct impression I wasn't supposed to be seeing it, but it would shock me if it's still up, because I thought they would like fucking, it's a screen culture clip, ignore. Pretty sure it was an international trailer. This wasn't a trailer, it was a whole fucking scene.
Is it one of those scenes like when you pull up Netflix and you hover over a title and instead of the trailer, it's just a random scene from a movie?
Yeah, it was a whole scene, and at the end of it, you heard like a voiceover go, "The Batman, rated PG-13 or whatever the fuck."
That's so weird.
Now playing in theaters. Like, it was meant for later on.
Whoops.
Well,
it must have been one or two of the 2 hours and 55 minutes that is the runtime for Matt Reeves' Batman.
Maybe that's why they can let it go out there. They're like, "Hey, man, we got 252 more of that."
Yeah.
Where that came from.
It's the longest running time for any solo Batman movie, and one of the longest for any theatrical superhero movie behind Endgame, which is 3 hours and 1 minute. I think Zack Snyder's Justice League cut is the championship length. It's got the length and the girth at 4 hours and 2 minutes long. But damn, 3 hours of Batman is a lot of fucking Batman.
I'm in. I'll watch fucking 10 hours straight.
I feel like if you're going to make it through 3 hours of Batman, you might need to take with you the darkest Batman movie ever, which gets a suitably dark tie-in, Pizza from Little Caesars. The Batman Calzone. Have you seen the Batman Calzone?
Are you shitting me? They're doing, Little Caesars is doing a Batman themed pizza?
Yes. The famous pizza joint described their new Backtastic menu item as the Batman Calzone is created by combining a pizza lover's own dynamic duo, calzone and pizza. The bat-shaped product features a tantalizing flavor profile of buttery tasting calzone crust filled with white garlic sauce, cheese, and julienne pepperoni, combined with a pepperoni pizza and served with a side of crazy sauce. Yeah.
Doesn't seem like, especially this incarnation, which seems a lot more emo, doesn't really feel like a pizza guy, but what do I?
JC's he found it.
Oh, it looks more like Eagly than a bat pizza.
None more dark, Batman, calzone, Batman. None more dark, Batman, pizza tie-in.
Actually, it looks pretty good.
Yeah. Oh.
Only if it was vegan, though.
If not for all that cheese and pepperoni.
Some people are saying it was a leak of a Super Bowl clip.
Ooh.
When is this bowl of super that people talk about, Mark?
It is in this Sunday is the divisional playoff games. Then it's a week off for next Sunday, so it's the 11th, I believe. I will check my calendar.
Bam.
Yeah.
Oh,
February,
bam.
13th. February 13th.
13th.
Yeah.
He literally came in just to say that. 13th. Ooh.
Bam.
All right, man.
That's it, brother.
That's all the news we got.
That's all the news we got.
There it is, kids. You wanted to know the news. Mark brought you the news.
Got news.
Give it up for Mark bringing you the news. Banff, man. Oh, Banff, man.
Bam.
I guess it's time to start asking we those questions 3.
All right. So these are all kind of in the same kind of, they're very similar, but have very distinct differences for questions today. We'll start with ZB in chat asked, Boba Fett wants to ride a Rancor. What mythical beast from pop culture would you want to ride or have as a pet?
Falcor from the Never-Ending Story. Comes with that cool song. Flies. Fucking Luck Dragon. Fucking that or a bantha. But you know what? Fuck banthas. They don't go anywhere. They walk around
Really slowly.
Yeah. No. Yeah, I'm taking either Falcor or Falco. So I can rock me Amadeus. Ooh, rock me Amadeus. Amadeus. What about you? What about the Mythosaur? Can I choose that?
I suppose you could. I'm not going to stop you.
I could fucking take over Mandalore and shit. Ride the great Mythosaur.
Ooh.
What about you?
I keep getting stuck on fucking Pegasus from Clash of the Titans, or any version of Pegasus, really.
Even the one from the TriStar logo.
I mean, especially the one from the TriStar logo. Like that. Slow motion is cool. I wonder if there are unicorn Pegasuses, so you get the best of both worlds. You get a horse that can fly,
surf and turf.
Yeah.
Look at you, man. It's not even good enough to have just one mythical beast. You're like, I want something even rarer than a unicorn, even rarer than a Pegasus. I want a unicorn Pegasus.
I want a Unisys. I just want to like crossbreed them. It's like, listen, I know it was really hard to get these two, but I bet you they'd fuck. And then we can have a kid who's got a horn and wings, who's better than us. We win everything. And so, yes, I want a Pegacorn or a Unisys.
Failing Falcor,
Mm-hmm.
Cringer / Battle Cat, because you get 2 mythical beasts for the price of 1. Because you can hang out with fucking Cringer and stuff like that. Look out for him, and then fucking like he turns hard ass when you point your fucking sword of power at him. You could hang out with that guy too. You can get a beer with that version of fucking Battle Cat. Cringer, man, you'd like fucking tell your problems to and shit.
I mean, I feel like there's some.
And he doesn't seem to mind being ridden. You never once heard Cringer be like, "Get off! Why don't you walk?"
I feel like there's some virtue in having a beast that can talk, because you also want to have a friend.
It's true, but then you can't jerk off in front of them because they could be like, "Ew." I jerk off in this very room, and the dog sits in the bed, and every once in a while, she's like, "Ugh," and goes back to sleep. But you wouldn't get that with Cringer. Cringer would be like, "Don't do it, Kev. Don't touch yourself." And then he might go fucking Battle Cat on you. Be like, quit touching your Peter. Your little sword of power. Look, I don't know if there's going to be a season 2 of Masters of the Universe, but I probably just lost that job with those bits right there.
Adam just keeps jerking off in front of Cringer, and Cringer's giving him shit for it. That's weird.
And they called me too woke.
I wasn't sure he could get it up again.
What about what about what? Okay, what?
Yeah, I was then just thinking about fucking those talking polar bears, the war polar bears in the fuck is that again? The
Golden
Golden Compass
Compass,
stuff.
Golden Compass shit.
Yeah,
His dark
his
material.
dark materials.
I
Because
thought you were
they
going.
talk.
I thought you were going for the Coca-Cola commercial polar
So
bears.
did I at first. I was like, oh, he likes them seasonal bears.
But you know, like the bears from those Charmin ads, the red bears. They're like, my hat is clean, Charmin clean. My hat is like, yeah, get me that fucking bear who's all about his like, you know, rectal cleanliness.
Does a bear shit in the woods? He does, and then he wipes his ass with Cottonelle.
Hell yeah. So yeah, I feel like maybe those war polar bears are kind of cool because they fight and they do badass shit, but also you could talk to them and maybe they would. What?
Francis Santos in chat is saying over and over again, Aslan from Narnia. But that would be like owning Jesus.
Yeah. Like Jesus is literally your co-pilot, and maybe I don't want that so much.
Well, more than that, it's like you don't want to be like, this is my pet, Jesus. Like, you know.
You let him go? Well, no, because
they're mythical, but it doesn't mean they would be pets. They could be friends.
yeah,
Like a lot of
sidekicks.
these are talking and stuff. And they'll let you know, like, fucking, I'm not a pet. I'm an equal. And you're like, oh shit, I never thought about that.
I think I would rather have Mufasa than Aslan.
Ooh, say it again.
Mufasa.
Ooh, say it again.
So I got chills. Look at me.
Or Dracarys. Right?
Oh,
I mean,
shit.
Oh, big ass dragon.
Oh, yeah, there you go, man. Give me all three of them dragons so you could just be like Dracarys.
I mean, it's hard to go in a drive-through when a dragon, though, and that would really cramp my style.
You could ride them, though.
Yeah.
You'd have to wear a
Well,
helmet.
I'd like a quarter pounder with cheese. Well done. You fucked up my order. Hey, fuck you in the drive-through.
All right, we got one down, one under our belt. Come on, Banff man, bring it.
Okay, Grassy Hill wanted to know. Boba has a mythosaur. Din Djarin has a mudhorn. What would your symbol be on your armor? I don't think it needs to be a mystical beast. I think it could be anything.
Wow, what a great question. What would be my sigil?
Nice. Bong.
Well, I'm not a bong guy, but I guess a lit joint or a pot leaf. But I, that's not just mine. That'd be a lot of people. I belong to a big house if it's a pot leaf. Let's see.
Well, that is the way.
Oh, a backwards baseball cap. That's my sigil.
Nice. Excellent.
Sometimes with horns, sometimes without horns.
I think we had crowdsourced. We had group thunk my sigil, which was the skull and crossbones, but the bones were quills.
That's cute.
Yeah.
And the skull is still a skull. Is it a Punisher skull?
I don't think so. I think it's more the alas poor Yurik, I knew him well skull. So it's the Hamlet skull and then the quills in their little ink pots.
Make it the new Punisher skull. That's like kind of like an Oni.
Okay.
That made everyone happy.
It did. Okay.
I like it.
Yeah, no, that's cool.
Banff man, you're giving us easy fucking layups here, man.
Banff.
Dude,
all right.
kiss.
Third question. We had two people ask the same question, independent. So Brian Lawson and Fraser Lomas both wanted to know, with Mandalorian getting his new spaceship, and I think we have to discount the Millennium Falcon. What would your spaceship of choice be, and how would you modify it? So you get to add a special modification.
Why can't I have the Millennium Falcon? Why'd you take that away?
Because everybody would have the Millennium Falcon.
I would never have thought to choose the Millennium Falcon. It's the hunk of junk.
I feel like
I want something sleek.
I feel like it's a character, though. I feel like that's everybody's go-to.
Let me see. I mean, I had the Millennium Falcon when I was a kid. It wasn't all that it was cracked up to be. Wasn't the fastest ship in the galaxy. It was a fucking toy.
Does my ship have to be Star Wars, or can it be anything?
Be anything. I
Anything.
want the Nautilus. I want the Nautilus, man. Man. I want to go 20,000 leagues under the sea. I want to see some fucked up fish. Give me the Nautilus. There ain't enough fucked up fish in this world, man. We've seen all the fishes and they all look the same. But deep in the ocean deep, down in the Mariana Trench, they got them fucked up fish that nobody ever sees. And if I had that ship with the big bubble eyes and whatnot, I'd be sitting there playing piano, looking out the window at fucked up fish as they went by. Oh, I'd be so happy. Finally, I'd be whole, Mark. Finally, I would be me.
Take me down to that Marianas Trench. Show me the fucked up fish.
Where did he go? He took his very penis-looking ship to the Marianas Trench, as he called it, and we haven't seen him since.
He's probing for stuff.
What about you?
I was a big fan of a show called G-Force when I was a kid, which may or may not be more familiar as Battle of the Planets.
Battle of the Planets. We're off to outer space. We're leaving Mother Earth to save the human race. That's a different show. Starblazers.
It is. That's Starblazers, because this was like.
They didn't have any lyrics. They just had big music.
Yeah, they're like big fucking horns. But they had a ship called the Phoenix, which was like a normal fucking cool ship. It was like blue with red stuff, and then the Phoenix started. But then when it became the Fiery Phoenix, it just blew into fucking flames. And it was also somewhat alive at that moment. But oh shit, like it's fucking badass. And so when I was 11, that was the ship that I always wanted. And I still want it, because I feel like you get all the Dracarys fun of flaming motherfuckers you don't like, but also a really fucking rad spaceship when it's not that.
My backup is just a standard ass land speeder.
Really?
Yeah, man. When I was a kid, I always found it captured my imagination. Like, and I'm a local guy. I could use that, get around and shit, go to the fucking, Whole Foods and shit. There's not a lot of trunk space in those things, but
it's like, I'm gonna fly. I can just cruise.
Yeah,
I don't
go
rider.
high. You go high, you can crash. I just want to hover off the ground this much. That's why I don't ride horses either, Mark. That's a high height to fall off a thing.
Yeah, no. And also they're alive and they got like will of their own.
I wouldn't mind a TIE fighter either.
These are cool. You can't really like roll with a couple of people though. Like it's very much a solitary.
It's a solo flight. It's a very masturbatory ship.
It is. What are we doing in here? Just catching some rays, soaking up these solar panels.
I'm sticking with the Nautilus, man, because you can get a lot of people on it. Or wait a second, wait for it.
Mm-hmm.
There's another submarine, and it's yellow. And it will protect us from the blue meanies.
I like how you're like, spaceship, fuck you. Give me a submarine. I just want to stay on this planet, just hide from everybody.
Well, I want to go into space under the water. I didn't know, was it a spaceship? I just thought it was a craft of some sort. Banff Man, was it a spaceship? Or was it just a ship?
Let's see. Sci-fi vehicle.
Sci-fi vehicle. You win.
Wait, sci-fi vehicle? Oh, fucking Batmobile, hands down. The Anton First fucking 1989 Batmobile.
Mm.
And how
I could have won from MTV in a fucking fair world. Some other guy won it. I called once, and I didn't win.
I've always wanted Mad Max's car, the Ford Falcon, the loss of the V8 Interceptors. It's a piece of history, right? I always wanted that fucking car. Hard to find, given that it was only made in Australia, and they were only made in like the 70s, but with the giant fucking engine on top. I did dig that Din Djarin's fucking Naboobian fighter. They put a big ass carburetor on top of it. Like that was just a hot rod. That was just like, no, she sounds just fine. I can hear it in my head. Like, no, everything's firing great. You should take it up. See what's happening under there.
That's a pretty good Amy Sedaris.
I tried my best. TARDIS. I see lots of people in the chat pitching a TARDIS. Also a very good call.
Some people have brought up the Tron bikes, aka the light cycles. Those look dangerous to me. I don't want that. And also, like, you can fall off a bike and you can hurt your legs. Batmobile is a fucking tank. And you know what? Maybe not the Anton First Batmobile. Maybe Frank Miller's fucking Dark Knight Returns Batmobile. The fucking tank.
Mm-hmm. It's not bad. I like the Batman animated series Batmobile. That was always one of my favorites.
That was a nice one too. But the Dark Knight Returns one, man, the fucking nose cone can look down at the mutant leader where he's like, Batman, fight me!
Rubber bullets.
Honest. And fucking the guy's like, Batman, don't shiv.
There's some good bunch of people saying Eagle 1 from Spaceballs. Like you could live in that. You could drive it.
Sci-fi vehicle. I stand by the Nautilus, man, or Batmobile.
Yeah, I mean,
I get more done with a Batmobile than the Nautilus.
Yeah, Kit's a good call.
Ooh,
DeLorean. Yeah. DeLorean's a great call from Back to the Future.
I think I would go with like Astro Train from Transformers. Like you could go up into space, or you could take a nice leisurely stroll across the country in train mode, and if like shit got real, you could become a big robot.
I don't know. I'm not issues, but I'm a little reticent to be engaged with vehicles that have personalities and are living things and crawling up inside of them and whatnot. What if he transforms and I'm in there? I'm like crushed. So it's a joke we did on the Clerks cartoon. Ecto-1, somebody said Ryan Fajardo in chat. Yeah. It didn't really, it's just an old hearse. Like, or didn't really, it doesn't have any magic powers. I'll take some Chitty Chitty Bang Bang for $200.
I would do the Heart of Gold, which is the spaceship from Hitchhiker's Guide to the Galaxy.
Hitchhiker's Guide.
Yes.
Ooh, what about the Lotus from The Spy Who Loved Me? A fucking car turns into a submarine.
It's the best of your both worlds, man.
Like heaven above me, the spy who loved me. He has a car that goes underwater. Could you imagine? I mean, I guess they got those now, right? Those duck boats. You go and fucking drive around the city with a body of water next to it.
Yeah. I mean, I think they actually built, they built a Lotus that could go as a submarine for the movie. It's hella leaky. I don't think it was meant to do that for a long time. And because I remember somebody bought one because they had the fucking picture cars and they then went up on auction. So yeah, this really can't go in the water anymore because it's actually not really airtight.
I remember they told us our whole lives Volkswagens were airtight. And then 1992, there was a nor'easter that struck the East Coast. And Jason Mewes and I, Jason Mewes, who plays Jay to my Silent Bob, we had two cars together, two cheap cars that he was fixing. One we were going to sell, one we were keeping to drive between us. We split insurance. Insurance is very expensive in New Jersey, even back then. So night before the nor'easter, you know, reports are coming in. It's going to be a big storm, you know, move all the vehicles uptown because Highlands, our hometown, is below sea level. So Mewes calls me up, Jay, irresponsible, knuckleheaded young Jay, calls me up to be like, and he's 4 years younger than me and I'm 22. So this is, you know, he's 18. he's like, we should move the 2 Volkswagens up. We had a Volkswagen Bug and a Volkswagen Rabbit. He said, we should move them uptown, man. They say the storm's going to be bad. I was like, listen, Jay. I said, I live on Jackson Street, and we live right down the fucking street from the bulkhead. Even when it gets the worst in terms of flooding, the water never gets up to our driveway. It's just in the street. So no, I'm not getting up and moving the car, and I'm not going to give you the keys to move the car either, because you can't be trusted, Mr. Irresponsible. Good night. So I go to bed, and I'm awakened very early by my mother in a panic. It was like, get out of bed. If you want to save your comic books, you better get out of bed right now. And I was like, what a weird thing to wake up to. And I went to get out of bed, and I put my foot down on the wall-to-wall carpet that my mother had in my room as a kid. And the carpet was higher than it normally was. And my foot sank into it, and water enveloped my foot. Like suddenly the water, it was such a big nor'easter, such a big flood. Water flooded our house. It was coming up through the floorboards of our house, something that had never happened before. So when I stepped on that big thing, I was like, oh my God, ew. And I went and grabbed all my comics from the bottom shelf of in my room and put them all on the bed. I quick ran to the living room to look out the window at the 2 cars that Jason had begged me to move uptown. And one of the last things I said to him was, even if it flooded, they're Volkswagens, they're airtight. And I looked out the window, Mark, and I saw fucking fish in the car swimming. Volkswagen is not an airtight car by any stretch of the imagination. And we lost both of those fucking cars in the flood, man. Totaled out. Couldn't fucking save them. So, P.S. to that story, FEMA, the Federal Emergency Management Agency, comes to Highlands, our town that was ravaged by the 92 nor'easter, December of 92. And they set up shop, and they, go, hey, what'd you lose? File for it, and we can get you some federal money, man. And so Jay's like, we should go, and we should file for the cars. I'm like, listen, Jay, they're not going to give us any money for those cars. This is all about people with houses. He's like, we should try anyway. So we go to Borough Hall, and they're like, the FEMA, agent is there. There's many in the room in the empty firehouse. And they're like, what did you lose? What are you claiming? And Jay's like, we lost a Volkswagen and a Volkswagen Rabbit in the flood. And the lady was like, are you brothers? And he's like, no, we just own cars together. And she was like, okay, fill out this paperwork. And we filled it out. And I was like, listen here, Jay, this ain't ever gonna fucking work. And lo and behold, the fucking federal government, which my father cursed almost every day of his life because he worked at the post office and hated working for the federal government. Federal government cut me and Muse a fucking check. Muse called me one day to be like, I got a check here for $4,000. They gave us $2,000 a piece for those cars that we had bought for like $300 a piece, and we're working on like refurbishing so we can flip one and stuff like that. And that money, we split it. And Jason got $2,000, I got $2,000. Guess what I did with my $2,000, Mark? Why, it went to a little motion picture by the name of Clerks. Yes, the Federal Emergency Management Agency helped finance Clerks.
Oh.
Now, I'm sure in chat there are a bunch of people like, you misused government funds, you fucking prick. How is that a cool story? Well, it happened in the early 90s when you could get away with things like that. Or there was such a thing as the social contract and responsibility. I was a kid. What did I know? I just wanted to make my movie. But yeah, FEMA money paid for a bit of Clerks.
And here I thought you were going to say I bought $2,000 for the comic books.
I bought 2,000 burritos, $1 a pop. And I sat there one summer day and ate them all.
I tried once, when it was like 3 years ago, Burger King had some promotion where you could buy 10 nuggets for $1. And I was working, I think, in the Treadstone writer's room at the time. And I said, guys, for $100, we can get 1,000 chicken nuggets. I don't want to eat 1,000 chicken nuggets. I just want to see what 1,000 chicken nuggets looks like. Let's go do it. And they were all like, no, that's weird. I'm like, yeah, but come on, man. It's like, you'll blow out your stomach. I'm not gonna eat this. Fucking TV writers. Let's spend some dumb money on dumb shit. And nobody would do it with me. And I've always regretted it because I wanted to see what 1,000 chicken nuggets look like.
You should come with me to the Flash television show that shoots up in Vancouver. I think when I was there for my second episode, Malcolm was with me, and I was like, Malcolm, I want to bring in Timbits, but I want to bring a ghastly amount of Timbits. I said, will you call up T-Ho's, Tim Hortons, and see how much 1,000 Timbits would cost? And, you know, it wasn't cheap, but all things considered, it wasn't as expensive as you would imagine. I think it was somewhere in the $200 range, you know, and there's a big crew on the Flash, you know, and you don't just eat one Timbit and that's it. You know, you could sit there and snack all day. So I was like, let's do it. Let's fucking pull the trigger. I would like 1,000 Timbits, please. And there's a long fucking silence on the phone. And they're like, all right, you can get that in 30 minutes. And you pick them up. And in your head, you're like, 1,000 Timbits. We better bring a big car. 3 boxes. Wasn't that big. So we laid them out on set. It's in my Instagram. There's pictures of it somewhere way back in the day. But we laid out all the fucking Timbits, and it did look impressive when everyone saw it. We kept inviting other shows over, like, hey, Riverdale, come get some free Timbits. You know, there were so many that people were whipping them at each other at the end of the day. And if you're like, that's a waste of food, I mean, these are fucking donuts. It's not
food.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, someday soon, I will make my nugget prince come. But
someday my nugget prince will come. Somebody in chat said, what the fuck is a Timbit? Timbit. It's here in America, we have Dunkin' Donuts, and the donut holes are called munchkins. Up in the Great White North, they have a series of donutarias / coffee shops called Tim Hortons, T-Ho's, if you will, and their donut holes are called Timbits. I honestly didn't think I would have to explain that, but I now realize that some people in the audience are neither from America nor Canada.
And also, a decent chunk of people from America have no experience with the Tim Hortons.
That's true. They tried opening a few over the course of the last 10 years down here. There's one in like New York City in Times Square, but I think most of them have kind of gone back. I think they thrive near the top, near the border, like top of the American border, because you got enough, you know, folks who know what a double is. You know, it's not an In-N-Out sandwich. It's a coffee at T-Ho's. I can't believe we're still talking about Tim Hortons. Moving on.
We have no more questions. That's what happened. We ran out of questions.
Was that all the questions, man? JC, Banff, man?
Yeah, that's 3.
There it is. You wanted to know shit? Now you know shit. If you didn't know, now you know.
And knowing is half the battle.
G.I. Joe. You know. Let me tell you something, kids. We had a good time tonight. Good ass time talking about shows we love and things we love and giggling and singing. I mean, this was like going to camp for the last few hours.
Giggling.
And if you're happy that you went to camp, thank JC, Banff boy, Banff man, ladies and gentlemen. He made sure that this show happened. I don't know if you were here at the beginning, but shit was looking iffy. We had a hero. Banff man had his own hero, and that guy is Will Wilkins, man. Give it up for Will. He saved the show.
Indeed.
Saved the picture. You like the picture?
So hideous. The food is crap. The drinks are hideous. We like to
smoke and drink and fool around. Nookie Mountain North Stars. We are the ZITs, so piteous. The kids are brats, the food is hideous. We're gonna smoke and drink and fool around. We're Nookie Mountain North Stars.
Oh, camp.
We are the North Star CITs. Young Bill Murray, man.
Yeah.
Magical. If you enjoyed the show, kids, there is no show without the guy who sits in the square below me, but to the other side. Is that right? No, there it is. No, there it is. There it is. God, good thing I don't have to tie a tie or anything. There he is. Mr. Marc Bernardin, ladies and gentlemen.
Oh, thank you, sir.
If you haven't had enough of me, Kevin Smith, it's Thursday night at 9:55 here on the West Coast in California. In 2 days, 48 hours on Saturday night at Flappers Comedy Club in Burbank. Me and Ralph Garman doing Hollywood Babylon, ladies and gentlemen. Tickets at csmod.com, man. Hope to see you there. Soon we'll be getting back into the cantina to do Fat Man Beyond live.
I know. What do we think? We think maybe.
I don't know, Bamf man, you got any words?
Bamf. I mean, I think we could probably target like maybe week after Valentine's Day.
Ooh,
maybe give it another week. We'll see how the numbers are trending, and then
numbers seem to be trending down. Am I wrong?
No, I think so. Also, by that point, fun announcement for people who don't love drinking alcohol. We are going to be adding CBD cocktails to the menu starting in the next couple weeks. So if you
have my attention, sir.
Yeah. So if you're not interested in drinking booze, we have an alternative to help keep you centered. So those are coming up. Hopefully they'll be ready by the time we get back to the bar.
So are we looking at like the 15th or the 22nd?
I think we should aim for 22nd.
Yeah, all right. President's Day show. Our favorite science fictional presidents.
You know what we say? It's nighttime and the moon is out. You know what we say when the moon is out at night? I'm conscious, I need you, I need.
Oh man, the 3-hour shows.
I like it when we get punchy at the end. This is like at the end of SNL when they do the weird sketches in the last 5 minutes.
Like, anybody still awake? Hit them with the fucking weird.
Yeah, let's see if they're paying attention. There it is, kids. You have a good time? I sure did. So did Mark, man. So did JC. Come back next week. We're going to do more of this type of shit, man. Next week, we'll be talking about more Book of Boba Fett, more Peacemaker, and more of anything else that needs and demands our attention and yours. Indeed. Hope you had a great time, ladies and gentlemen. You go have a wonderful night. Thank you for keeping me so preoccupied I forgot to eat. And so that, you know, I wound up having a 24-hour fast without even thinking about it. So
look at you.
Well done, man.
Who's better than you?
That's it for Fat Man Beyond for this week, this last week of January 2022. I'm Kevin Smith.
I am Marc Bernardin.
Tune in next week or next time. Same fat time, same fat channel, smodcast.com or
youtube.com/Kevin Smith.
1,000 Jeff's kisses to you all. This is from the cat. Greetings, everybody, and welcome to the AKA Ask Kev Anything. Every saga has a 10-year anniversary, ladies and gentlemen, and this is what happens when Jay and Silent Bob get old. I'm Kevin Smith. Cheers, if you